Robin Williams was one of the most beloved entertainers in the world. His laughter filled movies, television screens, and comedy stages for decades. But after his death, questions refused to disappear. Rumors spread about his private struggles, his final years, and the family he left behind. For years, many stories remained unanswered. Now, as his children speak openly about their father's life and legacy, a clearer picture is beginning to emerge. But does the truth match what people believed all along? Before the rumors, before the headlines, and long before the questions that surrounded his final years, Robin Williams was known for something very simple. He made people laugh. For millions around the world, Robin Williams was more than an actor or comedian.
He was a source of joy.
His energy seemed endless. His imagination appeared limitless. Whether he was standing on a comedy stage, appearing on television, or starring in blockbuster films, he had a rare gift. He could make audiences laugh one moment and bring them to tears the next. His story began far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Robin McLaurin Williams was born on July 21, 1951, in Chicago, Illinois. He grew up in a family that appeared comfortable from the outside. His father worked as a senior executive in the automobile industry, while his mother had a strong personality and a love for entertainment. As a child, Robin often spent long periods alone. To fill that loneliness, he created imaginary worlds. He invented characters. He talked to toys. He developed voices and personalities that would later become famous parts of his comedy. Even at a young age, creativity became his escape. When the family moved to California during his teenage years, Robin discovered something important. He loved performing. Friends quickly noticed his unusual talent. He could transform an ordinary conversation into a comedy routine. He could imitate people with incredible accuracy. Most importantly, he could make almost anyone laugh. After high school, he briefly studied political science, but his heart was elsewhere. Soon, he began pursuing acting. His journey eventually led him to the prestigious Juilliard School in New York City. There, he trained alongside some of the most talented young performers in the country. Even among gifted students, Robin stood out. Teachers and classmates often described him as a force of nature. His mind moved at incredible speed. Ideas seemed to appear faster than he could speak them. However, traditional acting training sometimes struggled to contain his energy. Instead of following every rule, Robin often followed his instincts. Those instincts would soon change his life. During the 1970s, he began performing stand-up comedy in clubs across Los Angeles and San Francisco. The comedy scene was competitive. Every night, performers fought for attention. Many talented comedians came and went without ever becoming stars. Robin was different. When he stepped on stage, audiences immediately noticed him. His performances felt unpredictable. He jumped from character to character. He switched voices in seconds. He created entire stories on the spot. People never knew what would happen next. As the audience watched, laughter filled the room. Word began spreading quickly. Club owners wanted him back. Fans returned again and again. Television producers started paying attention. Then came the opportunity that changed everything. In 1978, Robin appeared as an alien named Mork on the sitcom Happy Days. The character was only supposed to appear briefly. Instead, viewers loved him. His performance was so memorable that television executives quickly created a new show built entirely around the character. That show was Mork and Mindy. Almost overnight, Robin Williams became a national sensation. Audiences were fascinated by the strange alien with endless curiosity and non-stop energy. The show became a huge success, turning Robin into one of television's brightest new stars. Fame arrived quickly. Magazine covers followed. Television interviews multiplied. Crowds gathered wherever he appeared. Yet this was only the beginning. Robin soon set his sights on something bigger. Movies. The transition from television to film is often difficult. Many actors struggle to make audiences accept them in a different format. Robin succeeded where others failed. Over the following years, he built one of the most remarkable careers in Hollywood history. Films like Good Morning, Vietnam showcased his incredible comedic talent. Dead Poets Society revealed his emotional depth. Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, Aladdin, and countless others introduced him to new generations of fans. Each role seemed different. Each performance felt unique. He could play a loving father, an inspiring teacher, a magical genie, or a troubled soul searching for meaning. Audiences believed every character. That was his gift. By the 1990s, Robin Williams had become one of the most respected performers in the entertainment industry. His achievements continued to grow. Awards filled his shelves. Critical praise followed nearly every major project. In 1998, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his powerful role in Good Will Hunting. It was one of the highest honors in filmmaking. The moment felt like the perfect reward for decades of hard work. To the public, Robin Williams seemed unstoppable. He was successful. He was admired. He was loved around the world. But public images rarely tell the whole story. Behind the cameras, life was often more complicated than it appeared. The man who made millions laugh carried personal struggles that many people never saw. Close friends occasionally noticed signs of exhaustion. Family members understood that fame came with pressures few people could imagine. The expectations never stopped. The spotlight never disappeared. And the need to keep entertaining remained constant. While audiences celebrated the joyful performer they saw on screen, another story was quietly unfolding beyond public view. The seeds of future challenges had already been planted. At the height of his success, while the world saw happiness and achievement, hidden battles were beginning to grow. But behind the laughter and success, challenges were quietly growing out of public view. For much of the world, Robin Williams seemed larger than life. He could walk onto a stage and instantly transform the mood of an entire room. His energy appeared endless. His smile looked genuine. His ability to make people laugh felt almost effortless. But fame often hides realities that audiences never see. As Robin Williams' career continued to soar through the 1980s and 1990s, the demands placed upon him grew heavier. Every successful film created new expectations. Every television appearance increased public interest. Every performance reinforced the image of a man who seemed permanently joyful. Yet maintaining that image came at a cost. The entertainment industry can be unforgiving. Success brings opportunities, but it also creates pressure. Performers are expected to stay relevant, remain creative, and constantly satisfy audiences who always want more. Robin understood those expectations better than most. For decades, he worked at an extraordinary pace. Movies, television appearances, stand-up performances, interviews, charity events, voice acting projects. The schedule rarely slowed down. To fans, it looked like he was doing exactly what he loved. In many ways, performing brought him happiness. Making people laugh gave him purpose. However, life away from the spotlight was often more complicated. Like many artists, Robin experienced periods of emotional struggle throughout his life. Those closest to him knew he was not always the carefree entertainer people imagined. The contrast between public perception and private reality gradually became larger. Many comedians have spoken about the unusual relationship between humor and pain. Some of the funniest performers in history have privately faced challenges that audiences never realized existed. Robin was no exception. His incredible ability to connect with human emotions came partly from understanding them so deeply himself. As the years passed, he experienced personal difficulties, career setbacks, and moments of uncertainty. While many of his films became beloved classics, not every project succeeded. Hollywood can be unpredictable. One year brings success. The next brings disappointment. Some films received praise. Others struggled at the box office. Each success raised expectations even higher. Each setback attracted criticism. Yet Robin continued moving forward. Again and again, he reinvented himself. He returned to stand-up comedy. He accepted challenging dramatic roles. He explored new creative opportunities. Audiences remained loyal because they could sense something genuine in his performances. However, another challenge was beginning to emerge. As Robin entered his later years, changes started becoming noticeable. Friends observed moments that seemed unusual. Colleagues occasionally noticed signs of confusion. Tasks that once felt effortless sometimes became difficult. At first, these changes appeared minor. Many people assumed they were simply part of aging, stress, or exhaustion. After all, Robin had spent decades working at an intense pace. Few people imagined something more serious might be happening. Meanwhile, his personal life remained important to him. Despite the demands of fame, Robin cared deeply about his family. His children occupied a special place in his life. Friends often described him as a loving father who enjoyed spending time with them whenever his schedule allowed. Family gatherings offered moments of normalcy away from Hollywood. For a brief time, those moments provided comfort. Yet the unexplained health concerns continued. By the early 2010s, the situation became increasingly difficult. Robin himself reportedly struggled to understand what was happening. Simple tasks sometimes felt unusually challenging. His confidence occasionally suffered. The performer who had once commanded stages with complete freedom began facing obstacles he could not easily explain. As the audience would later learn, these changes were affecting far more than his career. They were affecting nearly every part of his daily life. Still, very few people outside his closest circle understood the full picture. The public continued seeing occasional interviews, public appearances, and film projects. Most fans remained unaware of the growing concerns. The beloved entertainer who had spent decades bringing joy to others was quietly fighting battles that remained largely invisible. And, because the symptoms were difficult to identify, answers proved frustratingly difficult to find. Doctors searched for explanations. Family members searched for understanding. Robin searched for relief. But clarity remained out of reach. As months passed, uncertainty became one of the greatest challenges of all. The world still saw Robin Williams the performer. The people closest to him saw a man trying to understand changes that neither he nor anyone around him could fully explain. What made the situation even more heartbreaking was that many of the answers would only become clear after it was too late. And when tragedy finally arrived, the questions surrounding his final years would become even larger than anyone could have imagined. When tragedy finally struck, the world was left searching for answers that no one seemed able to provide. On August 11, 2014, the world received news that seemed impossible to believe. Robin Williams was gone. Within minutes, television networks interrupted regular programming. News websites updated their headlines. Social media filled with messages of disbelief. Millions of people stared at their screens in shock. For decades, Robin Williams had been a constant presence in popular culture. He had made audiences laugh, cry, and dream. To many fans, he felt like someone who would always be there. Now, suddenly, he wasn't. As reports spread across the world, tributes began pouring in from every corner of the entertainment industry. Actors shared memories. Directors spoke about his talent. Comedians described the inspiration he had provided throughout their careers. Fans gathered outside theaters and public landmarks, leaving flowers, notes, and photographs. Many remembered the characters that had shaped their childhoods. Others remembered the emotional performances that had touched them during difficult moments in life. For some, it felt like losing a close friend. The grief was immediate. But alongside the sadness came confusion. People wanted answers. What had happened? How could someone known for bringing so much happiness leave the world this way? The questions spread almost as quickly as the news itself. In the days that followed, media coverage became relentless. Television discussions continued around the clock. Newspaper articles examined every stage of his life. Online forums filled with theories and speculation. Many people searched for simple explanations. But the reality was far more complicated. As investigations continued, details about Robin's final months slowly emerged. Those closest to him described a man facing significant challenges. Friends and family spoke about changes they had noticed. There were concerns about his health, concerns about his emotional well-being, concerns that had grown stronger during the final period of his life. Yet, even then, many questions remained unanswered. The public naturally tried to make sense of what had happened. Some people assumed they understood the full story. Others believed there were hidden details that had not yet been revealed. Rumors began spreading almost immediately. Some focused on his career. Others focused on his personal life. Many were based on incomplete information. As often happens after the death of a famous person, speculation quickly filled the gaps left by uncertainty. Unfortunately, rumors often travel faster than facts. Weeks later, official findings provided additional information. However, even those findings did not completely explain what Robin had been experiencing during his final years. Something still seemed missing. Family members continued searching for answers. Medical experts continued reviewing evidence. The mystery surrounding his declining health refused to disappear. Then, several months after his death, a critical discovery changed the conversation. Medical examinations revealed that Robin Williams had been living with Lewy body disease, a serious and progressive neurological disorder. At the time of his death, neither Robin nor many of the people closest to him fully understood the extent of the condition. The disease affects the brain and can cause a wide range of symptoms: memory problems, anxiety,
depression,
sleep disturbances, confusion, hallucinations, difficulty concentrating, changes in movement and behavior. For many patients, the symptoms can be overwhelming. In Robin's case, experts later described the disease as particularly severe. Suddenly, many of the unexplained struggles from his final years began to make more sense. The confusion, the fear, the changes that friends and family had witnessed. The answers had been there all along, hidden behind symptoms that were difficult to recognize and even harder to diagnose. Yet despite these revelations, public understanding remained incomplete. Many people continued repeating old assumptions. Some media reports focused only on parts of the story. Others failed to explain the full medical reality. As a result, misconceptions continued circulating for years. The gap between public perception and truth remained surprisingly large. For Robin's family, this created a difficult situation. They were grieving a father, a friend, and a loved one. At the same time, they watched countless strangers debate circumstances they knew very little about. The challenge was no longer just coping with loss. It was protecting the truth. As years passed, the rumors continued. Some faded away. Others grew stronger. But eventually, the people who knew Robin best decided it was time to speak more openly. His children had spent years carrying their memories, their grief, and their understanding of the man behind the headlines. Now, they were ready to share a perspective the public had rarely heard before. And what they revealed would help reshape how many people understood Robin Williams' final chapter. Years later, those closest to Robin Williams would reveal details that challenged many long-standing beliefs. For years after Robin Williams' death, the world continued talking about him. His movies remained popular. His comedy routines continued making people laugh. New generations discovered his work for the first time. But alongside the admiration, the rumors never completely disappeared. Stories continued to circulate online. Speculation continued appearing in articles and interviews. Many people believed they understood what had happened during Robin's final years. Yet those closest to him often saw a very different picture. Among them were his 3 children, Zach, Zelda, and Cody Williams. For them, Robin Williams was not simply a Hollywood legend. He was their father. They knew the man behind the cameras. They knew the private moments that audiences never saw. And they carried memories that could never be captured by headlines. In the years following his death, each of his children faced grief in their own way. Losing a parent is never easy. Losing a parent under intense public attention can make the process even more difficult. Every public appearance brought questions. Every interview risked reopening painful memories. Every anniversary reminded the world of a loss they were still learning to live with. Despite those challenges, Robin's children gradually became important voices in preserving his legacy. Rather than allowing rumors to define his story, they chose to share their own experiences. One of the most vocal family members was Zach Williams. Over time, he spoke openly about his father's health struggles and the challenges Robin faced during his final years. Zach explained that many people misunderstood what his father had been experiencing. The public often focused on simple explanations. The reality was far more complex. According to family members and medical experts, Robin was dealing with a severe neurological disease that affected his brain in ways few people understood at the time. For those closest to him, the disease explained many of the changes they had witnessed. It explained the confusion, the anxiety, the fear, the symptoms that seemed impossible to understand while they were happening. As viewers imagine those final years, it becomes easier to see why answers were so difficult to find. Even Robin himself reportedly struggled to understand what was happening to him. That uncertainty created enormous frustration. It created fear. And it created questions that remained unanswered until after his death. Meanwhile, Zelda Williams became another powerful voice in protecting her father's memory. As an actress and writer, she often found herself facing public discussions about Robin's life and death. Yet she consistently encouraged people to remember the full person rather than focusing only on tragedy. Through social media posts, interviews, and public statements, she shared glimpses of the father she knew. Not the celebrity, not the headline, the father. She described his warmth, his humor, his kindness, his deep love for family. Those personal memories helped humanize a man who had often been reduced to public speculation. Over time, many fans began seeing Robin's story through a different lens. Instead of focusing solely on how he died, they started remembering how he lived. That shift mattered greatly to his family, because for them, Robin's life could never be summarized by a single moment. It was a lifetime of creativity, a lifetime of compassion, a lifetime spent bringing happiness to others. His children also became advocates for greater awareness about neurological disorders and mental health challenges. They recognized that sharing Robin's experience could help others facing similar struggles. Many families dealing with neurological diseases understood the confusion and helplessness that often accompany difficult diagnoses. In speaking publicly, Robin's children helped shine light on those realities. Their words offered comfort to countless people facing their own challenges. At the same time, they continued protecting aspects of their father's life that remained deeply personal. Not every memory needed to be public. Not every detail belonged in the spotlight. Their goal was not to reveal every secret. It was to preserve the truth. And as more people listened to their perspective, many long-standing rumors began losing credibility. The picture became clearer. Robin Williams was not defined by gossip. He was not defined by assumptions. He was not defined solely by the circumstances of his death. He was a father, a friend, an artist, a performer whose work touched millions. Most importantly, he was a human being facing challenges that many people never fully understood during his lifetime. Years after his passing, his children helped the world see that reality more clearly. And in doing so, they changed the conversation surrounding his legacy. But the greatest part of Robin Williams' story was never the rumors that followed his death. It was the lasting impact he left behind for generations to come. The deeper truth about Robin Williams was not found in the rumors, it was found in the legacy he left behind. More than a decade after his death, Robin Williams remains one of the most beloved entertainers in modern history. His films continue to be watched around the world. His comedy routines still attract millions of viewers online. His voice continues to echo through generations that grew up with his work. And perhaps most remarkably, new audiences continue discovering him every year. Many know him as the hilarious genie from Aladdin. Others remember him as the devoted father in Mrs. Doubtfire. Some see him as the inspiring teacher from Dead Poets Society. Others think of his unforgettable performances in Good Morning, Vietnam, Jumanji, Hook, and Good Will Hunting. Each role revealed a different side of his talent. Few performers could move so easily between comedy and drama. Fewer still could make audiences laugh and cry within the same scene. That rare ability became one of the defining features of his career. As the years passed following his death, public conversations slowly began to change. At first, much of the attention focused on the circumstances surrounding his final days. The rumors dominated headlines. Speculation filled television programs and internet discussions. But eventually something important happened. People began looking beyond the tragedy. Instead of asking only how Robin Williams died, many started asking how he lived. The answers revealed a remarkable story. Friends described extraordinary acts of kindness. Co-stars recalled his generosity on film sets. Charity organizations remembered his willingness to help whenever possible. Many stories emerged about private moments that had never been intended for public attention. These were not carefully planned publicity events. They were simple acts of compassion. Robin often visited hospitals. He spent time with sick children. He supported military service members and their families. He used his fame to bring comfort to people facing difficult circumstances. For many fans, learning about these moments deepened their admiration. The man they loved on screen appeared to be just as caring away from the cameras. At the same time, greater understanding of Lewy body disease helped reshape public perception of his final years. Medical experts continued educating the public about the condition. Families affected by similar neurological disorders shared their own experiences. As awareness increased, many people realized how complex Robin's situation had been. The narrative became less about assumptions and more about understanding. This shift carried an important lesson. Sometimes the truth is far more complicated than the stories people tell. Sometimes struggles remain hidden even from those closest to us. And sometimes answers only emerge long after events have passed. Robin's story became a powerful reminder of that reality. Meanwhile, his children continued carrying his legacy forward. Zach, Zelda, and Cody each found their own ways to honor their father. Through interviews, public appearances, charitable work, and personal reflections, they helped preserve a fuller picture of who Robin Williams truly was. Not simply a celebrity, not merely a comedy icon, but a father whose influence shaped their lives. A human being whose strengths and struggles both mattered. Their efforts helped ensure that future generations would understand the complete story rather than only fragments of it. As years turned into decades, Robin's influence showed no signs of fading. His movies remained cultural touchstones. His performances continued inspiring young actors and comedians. Film schools studied his work. Comedy performers analyzed his timing and improvisation. Audiences revisited favorite scenes and discovered new details they had missed before. The laughter continued. The inspiration continued. The connection remained strong. For many people, Robin Williams represented something rare. He represented empathy. He represented imagination. He represented the idea that entertainment could bring people together regardless of age, background, or nationality. Very few performers achieve that kind of impact. Even fewer maintain it long after they are gone. Today, when people remember Robin Williams, they increasingly remember the complete picture. The brilliant performer, the devoted father, the compassionate human being, the artist who faced challenges while continuing to bring joy to others. The rumors that once dominated conversations have gradually lost their power. What remains is something much stronger. A legacy built through decades of unforgettable work. A legacy carried forward by family, friends, and millions of fans. A legacy that continues to touch lives around the world. In the end, Robin Williams' story is not only about fame or tragedy. It is about humanity. It is about resilience. It is about the lasting impact one person can have on countless others. And that impact continues to be felt every single day. Call to action. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories about legendary lives, hidden truths, and unforgettable journeys.